The one other issue that came up is the, in one of the bylaws, I believe it was the noise control bylaw, I think. The version that was included in the warrant was an earlier version that left out a couple of sections, so we're gonna have an amended version.
I think it was the outdoor lighting.
Was it the outdoor, oh, it was the outdoor lighting bylaw. It was an earlier version, so there's an amended version that we're gonna include.
Now that, those bylaws, do they have to be read in their entirety?
So, it is possible to request the moderator to allow them to skip the full reading. And the moderator can ask to skip the full reading. I think that
You think?
in some places, that's like kind of the norm. They never read full bylaws. They just say, motion to skip full reading, motion seconded, all those in favor, aye, we're skipping the full reading, we're reading by title only. And that happens. The first time I was here, I foolishly tried to just do that. And I remember a person in the audience said, wait a minute, we're not reading the full thing? So
So we should be prepared.
it's really up to town meeting.
Okay.
But there are parliamentary motions under town meeting time that allow you to not have to read the full text of a bylaw if it's printed in the booklet that people are handed when they walk in.
Okay.
And the moderator can say, is
Can
the remainder of your motion as what's printed? Yes, okay, then I'm gonna set that as the full
we
motion.
just outline the changes?
I suppose that's possible, except I think what they're doing is deleting the in entirety and adding a whole new bylaw.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give John Barrett some language that he can say, which is basically ask the maker of the motion, is the remainder of your motion specifically as outlined in the text in the booklet that's been provided to everybody? And if the answer is yes, the remainder of my motion, which includes the entire text of the bylaw, is as printed, the moderator can say, then I'm gonna accept that as the full motion and vote on that. The moderator can do that,
Okay.
but you tell me if that's gonna fly.
Oh, I don't think it will fly.
It's not as printed, right?
Yeah, but it's gonna be, what they're gonna be handed on
will.
tomorrow night will have the correct
Okay,
language.
thank you.
So those bylaws make up the kind of the bulk of the pages of the warrant article. This is actually a relatively short warrant. There's only 14 articles outside of the, 12 actually. Only 12 articles that are, there's four, half a dozen big bylaws in there. So that, those are obviously gonna generate some discussion. The bylaw review committee and the planning board are gonna be there to be able to discuss those. I don't think there's gonna be the board of selectmen to have to carry the water for those bylaw changes.
I'm not really wanting to take any questions.
I have a procedural question.
Okay.
Order? Point of order, because if the override ballot, are you gonna require another town meeting on top of that to approve the 2.5 budget?
Will there be another override? So right now,
The way you laid it out is, we have town meeting tomorrow night,
yep,
budget's gonna pass or not pass depending on the, whatever we talk about, with the assumption that the June 2.5 vote is included in that.
correct.
Do you have to go back to town meeting?
If the override passes?
Yes.
No, because,
Okay, that's the best case scenario, worst case scenario says no.
well, if the override doesn't pass, then the school department has to come back with a new budget. Because their budget will have failed,
Which
hopefully.
haven't met since April 13th.
If their budget fails, they have to come back with a new budget. The amount of that new budget will in all likelihood require another budget vote from the town
Okay.
to amend our budget or make a determination as to how it's gonna be paid if there's another override requested.
Am I understanding you correctly? You're asking, do we have to have,
I'm just trying to figure out how many meetings you're gonna have, how many votes you're gonna end up.
well, yeah, cause we had to have the special, we had
Kathy,
to
you
have
can
the town meeting
correct me
to
if
approve
they're
it
not free.
first.
Yeah, they're about, for this, it'll be about $7,000 probably.
Each time.
Each time.
And so, those are absolutely issues, but until we know what the school's gonna do, if the school comes back and says, okay, we're gonna cut another $100,000 off of our budget,
Does nothing.
which does nothing, I mean, because for whatever reason, they're deciding that they can't cut anymore, I don't think there's a way for the town to fund that delta without another override. Which means there would have to be another ballot question and another election scheduled for another override vote. If they come back and say, okay, we were looking for $3 million, now we're only looking for $1 million, and so the Townsend's only looking for 450,000. Well, that's different, then maybe we don't need an override to do that, maybe we can do that with internal cuts. Or using free cash, or doing something else to fund that delta, but that would not require an override vote, but it still would require a budget amendment.
Thank you.
I actually have a question for you, Kathy. On the special, we're asking for additional funds to go into the election fund. Would that cover this one coming up, or no?
If it's on the special, it would be put towards that,
To June 11th?
yeah. And I do have a little bit of money left in my elections account, but not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. You all set with that? Let's jump down to 4.5, override ballot questions.
So I believe, you all got copies, and this is. Yeah, so this is the identical memo that was sent back in March to the clerk regarding the ballot questions. So,
Are these numbers correct?
yeah, so we're, the second number in question 2 is not correct.
What is that number?
Eric, on which warrant are you talking?
The ballot.
No, these are the memo that I'm gonna send to you about the new ballot questions.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, I thought I had that sheet with me. Give it, I'm sorry.
Anybody else? Need that?